Welcome to AP Physics 1. The purpose of these videos are to help you out in case you get stuck on a couple problems. In this one, we're going to be looking at part 2. So let's go ahead and dive right in. In part 1, we had done a lot of algebra, a lot of math, but now in part 2, we're actually going to be doing more physics. We're going to be predicting things based off relationships between variables. So let's look at number 1. For example, as y increases and x stays constant, what happens to z? Well, looking up here, we can see that z is equal to x over y, x divided by y. Now, as y increases, that means we're going to be dividing by a larger number here, meaning that z is going to decrease. Now, that seems pretty straightforward, but where it gets a little tricky is if we look over here at number 2. Now, as x increases and z stays constant, what happens to y? All right, so this is critical here. Z stays constant. There are two major ways you can think about this. Let's look first. This is the way I like to think about it. I think, okay, well, z right here needs to remain constant, right? So if z is remaining constant and x is going up, right? X is increasing. Well, that means that y must also increase to counteract the increase by x. Therefore, we can say that y increases. Okay, yeah, it says increases. Okay, now, another way you can think about it is go ahead and use some algebra and solve for y. So by multiplying both sides by y, we end up with yz equals x. And then divide both sides by z, and we can see that y equals x over z. Now it becomes pretty straightforward, right? So as x increases and z remains constant, x is a bigger number and we're dividing by the same, so y must also become bigger, or increase. It increases. Yeah. Where we add another layer of difficulty is down here in like number 6, for example. If s is tripled and t stays constant, then r is multiplied by how much? Now, for 1 through 5, I just simply want an increase or a decrease, but according to the instructions up there, for 6 and 7, I want an actual number. All right, so again, if s is tripled and t remains constant, what happens to r? Now, first off, we can see that s is in the numerator here, so if we increase s, then r must also increase, assuming t remains constant. But how many times does r increase? Well, if you look at it, we have s squared. So you can kind of think of it as s times s divided by t squared. So r does not increase by 3 just because we're tripling s. Since we're tripling each individual s, it's more like 3 times 3 over whatever. And so we end up with 9 times what r initially was. So we say that r is multiplied by 9 times. All right, now number 7 is pretty difficult as well. So if you guys have any questions on any of the ones we did not go over, feel free to email me. I'll be happy to give you more specific advice. Other than that, we will be having a quiz on these topics on the 3rd day of class. So I recommend if you have any questions, please email me whenever you get a chance. All right, good luck.